Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Unlocked. I'm your host, Tracy Wilson. Friday today, and it's going to be an amazing weekend. I have got a summit that I am going to be speaking on over the weekend. Gosh, let me get my words out, and I will tell you guys all about that very, very soon. So tomorrow morning, I don't know, 3:30 in the morning, I'm going to be up, awake, alive, and ready to go as I share some, hopefully I'm going to drop a whole lot of value bombs inside of the summit that I'll be speaking on tomorrow. But like I said, I'll tell you a little bit more about that a little bit further on in the show. Today, I did promise that I was going to bring to you guys something a little bit different, because on Wednesday, I had an amazing guest with me. His name was Jay Altman. And Jay and I had a really good conversation about how to kind of go from nothing to six figures, and then even beyond that into, to creating success across your business, your family, and life, and how to get yourself to, a seven-figure business, and what does it actually take to get there. And as we were talking, there was something that Jay spoke about, and it was towards the end of the show, and I asked them the question, if there were one thing that you could do, like what is it that makes the biggest difference to those that you see that kind of struggle along or kind of don't really ever break that glass ceiling of seven figures, and for those that do. And he broke it down to one simple thing, and it came down to this: identity. Your identity. So that gave me I suppose, an opportunity to talk more about that, because I'm going to tell you that over my entrepreneurial journey, I too have realized that identity plays a huge part in how successful you are. And it doesn't matter what it is that you are doing, whether you want to be successful in your family, in your business, or whether it's just life in general. It all comes down to this one thing. It's your identity. It's what you see yourself as. And often we think about like that being deep seated in our subconscious mind, like in our subconscious. How do we see ourselves? How do we judge ourselves? What do we see ourselves as? And often that also stems from the beliefs that we have. So today's show, my intention with this is to share you a really simple method that I've learned, and I'll tell you who I've learned this method from. It was from Dr. Joe Vitale, and you might know him from the movie The Secret. But he shares a really simple method. It's a 3-step method to help you identify. I call it the identification, the explore, and then the resetting of our beliefs. And I'm going to go into kind of some of the things that we can do to identify what some of our beliefs are. What are those beliefs that may well be holding us back? What are some of those beliefs that prevent us from being the person that we want to be, need to be, to then be able to have and do all the things that we want to have in our lives, and be able to, create almost your dream life. So what does that actually look like, and how do we start creating that? So like I mentioned, intention for today is to give you a really simple 3-step method. This method you can actually use on yourself. So my intention today is really to give you these tips and tools so that you can use them on yourself first and foremost. But then as you start to understand this questioning technique, and start to understanding the tool that I'm about to give you today, you will actually be able to identify the self-limiting beliefs in others, and potentially even be able to use this 3-step questioning technique to help them also overcome any self-limiting beliefs that they might have, that might be holding them back from being, having, doing all the things that they want to have in their life. So I can see that I've got a bunch of you guys that have joined me on the show right now today. We are live. So I want to let you guys know, if you want to talk with me, what you need to do is you need to say yes to StreamYard and allow StreamYard to see who you are, so that I can actually see your comments coming through. And I'm just reading them now. It's interesting. So Robin Helm is actually on the show today, and she's saying it's interesting that in numerology, your show number 111, which today is, are the numbers that are about being aware of your thinking. So how ironic is that? Didn't even make that connection, Robin. So thank you for doing that. But it's never a coincidence, right? It's always like, I'm a firm believer that these are all happening for a reason. Everything happens at the right time, in just the right moment. So there is no coincidence that this just so happens to be episode 111 of the Unlock Show, which, as Robin has just pointed out in numerology terms, is a really powerful number. And it is also about how to be aware of your thinking. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. Also, for those of you guys that are listening to this as a podcast, just so that you know, this is actually a live show. I turn this into a podcast too, so that those of you that prefer to just listen rather than watching get an opportunity to also tune in, and you can download the podcast version of the show in all the major podcasting platforms: iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, etc., and you just look up Unlocked with Tracy Wilson. So go and download the podcast version. So let's get this started. So like I said, I learned this technique from Dr. Joe Vitale, and he learned the method from somebody else, as we do. You know, these methods and this ancient wisdom often gets passed down, through the generations, whether it be through family members or people who are, willing to stand up, stand out, and actually share their messaging. So I learned it from him, who also learned it from somebody else. And it's actually a very an old technique, and it comes from the ancient philosopher Socrates. And it's a questioning technique. So the whole concept and idea here is, like I said, I got this concept or the idea of today's show from Jay, because he was talking about this your identity, and that you're never really going to be, your business is never going to outgrow who you are inside or who you identify as. So if you identify as somebody as, I can't have a really big business, or I'm frightened of having that, or, you mightn't even be aware that there is some deep-seated beliefs that are preventing you from really growing. For example, it might be that, down somewhere deep inside, you don't want to grow really big. Why? Because your values and your identity are that you want to make yourself available for your family. And if you get really large and you get really big, well, what might that mean to you? It might mean that you get really big, your business gets really large, you get super busy, and therefore you will have limited time to spend with your family. So that's just an example of how sometimes these self-limiting beliefs play out for us without us necessarily even realizing or knowing that that is the narrative that's playing behind the scenes for us. So today we're going to help you to identify what some of those are. Then I'm going to help you to use some questioning techniques that Socrates used, and that Dr. Joe Vitale also uses, and that I now use today. I'm going to share these with you so that you too can start using them. So the first thing that we need to understand is this, and I'm just going to pop up on the screen a little message. Now, let me pop this up. And this is quite interesting. And when I started to realize this, it was like, oh, okay, I need to be very aware of this. So here it is. The meaning that you give an event is the belief that actually attracted it. So I'm going to let that sink in for a moment. I'm going to reread it. So the meaning that you give an event is the actual belief that attracted it. So if that is the case, right? And I want to ask you this question. Have you ever found yourself ever saying, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to play out that way. I knew that person wouldn't turn up. I knew that person wouldn't do that. I knew, I wouldn't be able to do X, Y, Z. Have you ever found yourself at any time like saying that? I knew that. I knew that was going to happen. That's often a signal to us that somewhere inside we actually had a belief that whatever it was wasn't going to happen. So another example of this might be, you might say to yourself, I'm not a very lucky person, or, you might be single right now and have been searching for your ideal match for a long time. And you're saying to yourself, or saying to others, God, I've been on a whole lot of dates, but just the right person just isn't out there. All the good ones are taken. So, these are some of the things that we might be saying, whether it's to ourselves or we're saying out loud to others, even sharing with your girlfriends or your partner or whoever. You're sharing these things and voicing this stuff. Often the voicing of comes from a belief that you had about that particular event. And the interesting thing is, when you think about it in this manner, you start to really be aware of your thoughts and what you actually believe and what you're voicing. Because if this is true, so if this be true, the meaning that you give to an event is a belief that attracted it. That would indicate to us that we need to start being very, very aware of what it is that we are thinking and the belief systems and the beliefs that we have inbuilt into our psyche. The other thing that was really interesting, when I was talking with Jay on Wednesday, he was talking about, the fact that we evolve. Well, we were talking about the fact that we evolve as humans over time. We grow up, right? We start out as young children, and the set of beliefs and the person that you were back when you were 5 years old is not the same version of you. You're the same person, but it's not the same version of you that you are now. Now I'm 40. God, am I 46 or am I 47? Just had a birthday. I think I'm 46. 46. I just stop kind of taking note of how old I am, because that really doesn't matter. But anyway, I'm not the same person that I was when I was five years old. The belief system that I have and the things that I do and the things that I believe about myself are so different now than they were when I was 5, when I was 10, when I was 20, or even when I was 30. So if that's the case, then we as humans, you would agree that we continue to evolve over time, and that our belief systems and the beliefs that we have, they also change over time. Now let's talk a little bit about what is a belief. Now, when you think about a belief, I want you to ask yourself, is a belief always the truth? Is it always factual? Because there's quite a big difference between, something that is a belief, is just something that we believe in. It's something that we've heard, that we've taken on board, and we've said, yeah, that sounds reasonable for me to believe that to be my truth. However, it's not always factual. It's not always it's not always real. It's not always the truth or a fact. So if that is the case, then one would say that our beliefs then are able to be changed. We're able to reset them and reestablish a new set of beliefs if the beliefs that you currently have are not serving you to the way that you intend, the way in which you want them to serve you. So if they're not serving you well, then what should you do? We need to identify what they are. We then, acknowledge that they are there. We then start to question why we have those beliefs in the first place. And then we then take ourselves to a point where we start to explore them and we start to reset those beliefs. So let me give you, now that we've sort of established, the meaning that we give to an event is the belief that actually attracted it. So if you want to attract new things into your life, we need to start working on what are our belief systems and how do we start working on those? How do we actually start to identify what beliefs I actually have? So you want to start making yourself very aware, I'm going to call it like awake to what's actually going on in your subconscious mind. What are you saying to yourself? Potentially, not out loud. This is often dialogue that's actually going on in our minds behind the scenes without you even vocalizing and verbalizing what you are thinking. However, that record playing in your mind is the subconscious mind programming you over and over and over again based on your set of, I'm going to say, values, beliefs, and identity. And if we then are able to take the set of beliefs that we have, look at those, kind of, what's the word? I'm looking for a word that's, so I want to actually determine whether or not those beliefs that I actually have Are they serving me well? And is it actually truth? Are they factual for me? And if the answer that you get to for yourself is no, they don't, no, they're not true, and no, it's not serving me well, then we need to start asking ourselves this question. We need to then to start asking ourselves, do you believe that? So when we get to a point where we're like, okay, I'm not lucky, for example, might be, I never win anything because I'm just not a lucky person. So you then want to ask yourself, do you believe that? And I'm gonna preface this with, when we're asking these questions, we're asking the questions to probe, to explore, not to judge or to ridicule or to give it, or to push on to, even to ourselves or to anybody else, our own set of beliefs. So it's really important that we're careful in the way in, or where we are mindful of the way in which we ask this question. We're coming at this with the intention of exploring. We are becoming the Napoleon of the world, and we're starting to explore that belief. So that question I would have is, do you believe that? Do you really believe that you're not a lucky person? And when you can ask yourself that question, it then gives you an opportunity to obviously give yourself the answer. Do I really believe that? Is that really true? Have I won something in the past? Yeah, I have. So if that's the case, am I really an unlucky person? No. Am I really somebody who doesn't have a lot of luck? No. So now I can start to explore that further. And if I then can kind of exacerbate that, or explore it further and determine whether or not I actually believe it, I want to, and if the answer was yes, I would then be asking myself, so if that is the case, why do I believe that? Why do I believe that to be my truth? Why do I believe whatever it is, whatever that thing is that's holding you back, or the belief that you have? Why do I believe that? Why do I believe that? And again, I'm coming at it from a point of view of being exploring. I want to try to understand. I'm asking this question with an open heart and an open mind. Why do I believe that? And then I would be starting to answer for myself why it is that I believe. And then again, you're going to ask yourself, you're going to repeat this process until you can get to a point of, what do I really believe that? Asking it again. Why do I believe this to be true? So I'm digging a little bit deeper, and I'm going to dig and keep asking myself this question until such time as I get to a point of, now I'm stumped. I'm not 100% sure why I actually believe what I believe. Why do I believe that? I don't know. So if that is the case, once we get to that point of kind of like almost stonewalled ourselves, why do I believe that? The next thing that I can do is I then can start to ask myself this question. I then start to ask myself, that's the case and I don't know. What do I prefer to believe instead? So when I get to this point, this gives me the opportunity to then start reprogramming and resetting what my beliefs are, because that allows me to let go of the original belief that I had that, maybe all the, in some people's cases, all the good men or good women are taken, and that's why I'm alone. Why do I believe that? Well, because I've been on a whole lot of dates, and all the people that I've seen, are not good for me, or all my friends are with great people, and they're all the good ones, they're all taken. And then I continue to explore that, and I keep asking myself those questions. The question of, do you believe that? Then why do I believe that to be true? Going back and forth until I dig deep enough, until I get to the point where I'm stonewalled. And then I start to ask myself this really empowering question. I get myself to the place of empowerment, which is, what do I prefer to believe instead? What do I prefer to believe instead? So if you're a business owner right now and you are wanting to take your business to the next level, or you're wanting something new in your life, you're wanting to make more money, you're wanting to attract the right person into your life, you're wanting to, whatever it is, you can use this initial 3-step technique, but then you use these questions here, the do you believe that? And then the why do you believe that? You use that over and over and over again until you get to a place of, I'm not sure, I'm stumped. And then when you get to that place of the I'm stumped moment, that's when you can then apply the opportunity for you to now start re-embedding, resetting a new belief. What do you prefer to believe instead? And the new belief might be, I am always lucky. It doesn't matter what I do. I touch something and it's as if it turns to gold. And that can be, and now we're starting to reprogram and reset our set of beliefs. Why? Because we took that previous belief, which was, I'm not lucky, we delved into that, we explored it further, we became really good at using the questioning technique to uncover why you believe that, and you got to a point of, actually, I'm not really even sure why I believe that, and I choose not to believe that anymore. And we get to the point of, what do we prefer to believe instead? And now I'm reinforcing what I prefer to believe is that everything I touch turns to gold. Everything I do just turns out amazing. Everything that I get involved in becomes successful. And you can start reinforcing this belief over and over and over again. And when you do this, you can also use this with your identity. So if you're thinking about, what is my identity? Is my identity being very successful as a businesswoman? Is my identity being a musician, for example? Let's say you know nothing about music right now, but when you start learning something new, you're starting, let's say you're starting to learn to play the piano or the drums or the guitar or whatever it is, and you pick up that instrument and you have it in your hands and you start saying to yourself, I am a musician, and you start thinking, why can't, because in lots of people's cases, it would be, I'm not a musician right now, or I'm not a musician. Can you play an instrument? No, I can't. Why can't you play an instrument? Because I'm not a musician. So you can see, even with my questioning there and my answer, my identity would say I'm not a musician. But what if I started to go through this process of, so why do I believe that? Well, because I've never picked up an instrument before in my life, and I've never played it, and I don't know how to read music. But if I then, and why, so then, do I actually believe that to be true? I can't be a musician because I haven't ever picked up a instrument and I don't know how to read music. Well, maybe not. That's not true. It's not always true for everybody else. There are other people out there who've got to, 60 years old in their life, picked up an instrument for the first time, chosen to learn it. It's a learnable activity. I could learn how to do that. So therefore, my belief of not being able to ever do that, because I'm not a musician, could now start to be reinforced, could start to be reprogrammed or reset, I should say. And I can reset it by saying, well, what do I prefer to believe instead? I would prefer to believe that I could be a musician. I can be a musician. I would be able to do that when I apply myself to the task. So I could start reinforcing that. And then over time, I can start to reset my belief system and reset my identity that then says, I'm a musician. So therefore, I'd be able to pick up a guitar, maybe not instantly and be able to play it, but over time with effort and focus and applying myself to that task, of course, I would be able to learn to play the guitar. So this is the very, very simple 3-step method that you can use to help you to, one, just be very aware of what your beliefs are. So you're listening to your inner dialogue, and you're also being aware of what it is that you're saying to others. How do I explain things to other people? And when I am explaining things to other people, what words am I using to explain what's going on? And if it's in the negative, then it's probably, in fact, almost always, coming from a place of a belief that is not serving you well. So again, I'm just going to recover what the 3-step process is. So the first step is
asking yourself, do you actually believe that? Do you actually believe that to be true? Is it true? Is it factual? Is it a belief, or is it the truth? Then once I've got to that point, step number 2 is, now why do you believe that? Why do you believe that? It's almost as if you're asking yourself this in third person. You are coaching yourself. Why do I believe that? And then you'll get the answer. And then you'll go back to, do you really believe that? And then you give yourself the answer. And then why do I believe that? And then you're getting to the point where you keep going deeper and deeper and deeper until you hit that stone wall. Then once you hit the stone wall, it's like, okay, maybe I don't really believe that. Maybe that's not a truth, and it's not a belief that is serving me well. So then we start the reinforcement and the reset process. Is, what do I prefer to believe instead? And so that's the 3-step process that is going to help you very simply identify, explore, and then reset any self-limiting beliefs that you have. Then you can start being, doing, and having anything that your heart and your mind desires. So guys, I'm hoping that that has been a useful set of tools, a useful set of questioning technique that you are going to be able to use at any moment of any day, any time you like. And what I would recommend that you do is you can even do what I've done, put them on little cards like so, right? So this is the questioning. So I've got them on little cards so that as I come up against, is that a belief? Do I really believe that? I can start asking myself these questions and starting to get myself to a point where I can reset that belief and then continue on with my day. So that being said, guys, I want to thank you very much for being here today. Take note of those 3 questions because they will serve you well, and you can start using them from this moment forward. And if you feel like inclined to do so, come back and message me. Let me know that you have been using this technique, and let me know what's actually been happening for you. Have you seen a change in yourself? Have you seen a change in what's going on? And are you starting to make some real progress in your business, your family, or your life? Now, you can check out a whole heap of other free stuff that I've got over at tracymwilson.com. If you go there, you go to the freebies page, there's a whole lot of stuff on there that will help you live your life unlocked. I also have a whole lot of stuff on there that will help you build out your online business, find your voice, and start building the life and the life that you dream of. So that being said, I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me today. I'm going to be back again with another episode of Unlocked next Wednesday. I'll have an amazing guest with me, so join me then. And for now, have a fantastic weekend. And before I forget, I must tell you the summit that I'm speaking on, 3:45 a.m. Brisbane time tomorrow morning. I am on the Boss's Brunch. You can go to my Facebook page, Tracy Wilson. There will be a post there. And if you feel like you want to join, then you can join the Boss's Brunch and you can hear myself speak along with about 14 other very inspirational and successful women who will be talking and sharing with you their secrets to success. So join me on over there. And like I said, see you guys again next weekend. Have a fantastic, or next week, have a fantastic weekend. Bye for now.